Praise Jesus. It's a wonderful time that we've gathered here to listen unto the Word of God. In this particular time, we want to talk about Israel. We want to talk about the secret sin that people do and what are their consequences. So we're going to read from 2 Kings chapter 17, and I'm going to read from verses 6. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halal and in Habor by the river Gozan and in the cities of Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, and from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt they had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen whom the Lord has cast out from before the children of Israel, and the king of Israel which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their God, and they built them high places in their cities, from the towers of the watchmen to the fenced city. At this particular time, we are seeing that Israel is being carried away into captivity. Israel is being removed from the land they were promised. Because of what? Because one, they went against the Lord their God, and two, they did sin secretly against God, and they feared other gods. And this brings the picture of what modern or so-called Christians are doing today. Many of us, we have left, or we found ourselves in situations where we were not supposed to be. According to the promises of God, we are supposed to live in a place of comfort, live in a place that was promised, live in a place that God had ordained for us. But then we find ourselves that we are living outside of what God had ordained. Why? Because first of all, we have sinned against God, and now God has now to take us out. And that's why when we go against God, the enemy finds an open place, because once we have separated, we have been separated from God. Once we have gone against the ordinances of the Lord Almighty. There's a separation, and there comes a loophole where the enemy comes, and we are taken out of the presence of the Father, out of the presence of the Holy One, out of the presence of the one who's supposed to give us peace. And that is all by our actions and our deeds. And then it narrows down to the secret sins that we do. And you find that Israel did secretly those things that were not right. And you find that sin is bad because it's done against the Lord our God, Jesus Christ. And there, when you build high places in their cities and towers to watchmen to defend city, it can also be said that they built things and notions in their mind that were not against God. And that's why we're being told that let's cast down all imagination and subject them under the power of the Christ. And this particular time, each and everyone should know that God's eyes is everywhere, seeing both good and evil. And above all, what matters is not how you portray yourself outside the church, it's not how you portray outside with the world, it's how you deal within yourself. Because after all, God is interested first with the inner man, the spirit man. And this brings about that when we sin secretly, that when nobody's around, when we know that nobody can see me, then we should be very worried, because those kind of sins, the witness is the judge himself. And this particular time, I want to bring everyone to remembrance that the Lord's eyes are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. And whatever that secret sin that you do, it's high time that you stop it and turn back unto God, because the consequences of it is being taken out of the presence. Don't trust in their own counsel. Proverbs tells that we should listen unto God. We should not trust our own hearts. Jeremiah continues saying that the heart is the most deceitful thing. And above all, we should not be partaking the same cup with the world. We should not be walking with the same counsel with the world, because the world belongs to the devil. The children of the world belong to the darkness. But when the children of grace, whom are being saved by the grace of God, who have been called by the name of God, who have been transformed, been a chosen generation, then we should embark on what was right. Seek righteousness, turn away from that secret sin, brother. Turn away from that secret sin, sister, and let your life be transformed. And then you should find yourself always in the bosom of the Father, because there is peace, there is tranquility in your heart, there is joy. Outside the ordinances of God, then we know the enemy will trap us, will besiege us, will harm each and everything. And in our minds, those are high places, those are high imagination that we have, those are aspirations. Some are ungodly. Christians today have been transformed. They need more material things than they need God. They look at God as a source of salvation instead of God being a key, a way of their joy and peace. God is interested more with the spiritual man than what with the carnal mind. The word of God says, even in James, that blessings are found in the word of God. Therefore, don't dwell on that social media for a long time. Don't dwell in gossiping, in drinking. Don't dwell in things that are vain and ungodly. Dwell in the word of God. Be filled with the Spirit of God. Seek the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, and with all your soul, and it will be right with you. For God knows each and everything that you need. But once we walk out the ordinances of God, once you continue doing that secret sin that you're doing, then know that God will have to act. And when you separate yourself, because God does not leave us, it is us who leave God. But we don't want to be with Him, we don't want to have fellow worship with Him. And once you are separated from God, the enemy finds his chance, and then he comes to steal, to destroy, and to kill. So this particular time, wherever you are, know that God has called you. God is reminding you of that secret sin, that you should stop it and do not mix with the heathen. Stand out, for you are the light of the world. Stand out, for you are the salt of the world. Stand out, for you are called. When the light of the world is when the light is put out, when the salt loses its saltiness, then it is thrown into the fire. It is thrown away, for it is not good, not for any use. So, brothers and sisters, what I can tell you today is that just turn unto God and turn away from that secret sin. May God bless you. May the love and abundance of God be with you, and may the Spirit of God bring you unto conviction and bring you unto the Lord as fast as possible. Thank you for your time. May God bless you. Until we meet again.